Alright, so our starters just evolved. Now let's remake their designs
Hello,
entirely.
everyone, and welcome
What?
to episode 20. I'm Gabe, and today
Regional
we'll be heading
variants
back
for
to
our
make some
starter
progress
Pokemon
on
in
a
the same region
legendary
they showed
side
up
quest.
in.
But first,
Interesting
last
strategy,
episode,
but this is
you
a fan
finished your
region,
battle
it's
with
not
Beth,
canon,
the fighting
so,
type head
you know,
researcher, and
let's
had
see
a
what
bunch
he's
of your
cooking here.
Pokemon evolve.
Let's let the man cook before we decide if he burned the food or not, you know? We should at least let him cook it first. Let's see what we got here. What are we gonna do? Just change the types? Although I do like that fan art where they take stars and change their typings, like grass,
With
fire,
the
water, and move
Pokeride that you
around
got
a bit.
from
That's
Beth,
cute.
You are able to break through some of the more frustrating barriers along the path. And
Not
take
just
a
Rock
more
Smash, it's
direct
Wood
route
Smash too.
back
It's
to
cuts
the
in Rock
abandoned
Smash in
lab.
one.
As you approach the front door, you hear faint cracking coming from your bag. Ah, it seems that the
eggs
three
are
eggs
hatching.
that you got
Ooh.
from this lab earlier are now hatching. Let's take
That
a
was
look
foreshadowing.
at Professor Ginkgo's
Interesting. I
initial
like that
attempts
idea.
to revive the starter Pokemons of the Palean region. Now we've got a really fun design concept to play with for these new forms. We're
They're
going to
all
be
ice
pulling
type.
directly from the often less than scientifically accurate dinosaurs of the Jurassic series.
Oh,
movies.
we're basing more on Jurassic
So,
Park.
if anyone out there is familiar with the Netflix show Camp Cretaceous,
No.
our Cactomo
I mean, I'm familiar
line
with it, but I
is
don't
gonna be
watch it.
based on the Ankylosaurus Bumpy. Bumpy
Cute.
also works extremely well, as these designs are going to start off looking slightly underdeveloped and a little off, and that's Bumpy's whole thing. She hatched with lopsided horns on her head. And part of being underdeveloped means that these starters are going to be tiny. In fact, I want their proportions to read more like baby Pokemon than starters.
Ooh.
Oh, and of course, they're getting new types. I wanted to use Bumpy's nice and vibrant colors, which work well enough for its new typing. And here is our first little ball of cuteness. This is Spliced Cactamo.
He made the
Two cute
freaking
Pokemon.
thing go sideways in the last
DNA from a
second.
number of fairy
Duh.
type Pokemon were used to fill in the
It is
gaps
adorable
of
though.
the
It's a
incomplete
fairy type. That's
Cactamo
adorable.
fossil
Like two
during
cute
the
Pokemon.
revival
Oh.
process. This variant is too friendly for its own good, and they have difficulty recognizing dangerous situations. They cannot survive alone in the wild. Spliced
Now that adult
Cactamo's horns
supervision.
grow in a lopsided manner, which some find off-putting and others find endearing. Its
I
ability
think
is
it's cute.
unaware, so that lets it ignore any stat changes.
Oh great,
And
it's a
pretty adorable,
Quagsire.
right? Let's take a look at what
I still love that
Fleetwee's
False Way
other
Gaming
form will
episode of
be.
Quagsire where they
Right
just
off
like,
the
was
bat,
it competitive
we
or
can
not?
say
Man, I don't
bye.
know. It does what it
Our
does.
Raptor is going to pull elements from the scene in the original Jurassic Park where Hammond holds the raptor egg as it's hatching. We'll actually leave some of those bits of eggshell on our
Interesting.
scrawny little raptor as well. Losing the beak and tweaking the head shape does make this design feel pretty far from the original Fleetwee, but I like where this line is headed, so I'm just going to roll with it. I was initially going to pull the color palette from that hatching Jurassic Raptor, but I ended
Red
up
and
landing
white.
on these cool purples and blues instead.
Oh?
It leads into the rest of the evolutions better and works with its new typing. Oh, and I should have said, all of their new typings are parts of the original's personalities, but they're just more pronounced here. So Cactamo was super cute, and now it's got the fairy typing. And here, Fleetwee's line was incredibly intelligent, so we end up with a psychic type.
Ooh,
Right, here
interesting.
is Spliced Fleetwee.
That's a nice way of looking
the
at
hatchling
it.
Pokemon. The DNA from a number of psychic
I like
type
these
Pokemon were
designs. They're
used
so
to fill in
cute.
the
It's like
gaps of
if
the
you didn't,
incomplete
if they didn't
Fleetwee
have the
fossil
names
during
of the
revival
starter Pokemon
process.
on them, I would
This
thought they were their
variant
own.
is incredibly intelligent,
But
though
you guess how you do
its
original
tiny
variants,
body
you know?
and muscles aren't able to accomplish
Or maybe it's
much
not,
yet.
because if you did that, you'd be like, that's not a
Spliced
muck.
Fleetwee
What are you
recognize
talking
their
about?
own defenseless nature
That's some
and
Skittle
stick on
thing.
pieces of their eggshells to serve as weak armor. Its ability is sticky hold, since it just hatched.
What do you
its
mean,
and
Darmanitan? That thing's a
prevents items
snowman.
from being taken or switched. It's pretty goofy and kind of ugly in an adorable way, but I'm a fan.
Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty, let's see what our new Sailil will be. Again,
It's just a
new
duck.
proportions, so its big head has somehow gotten even bigger. I wanted it to feel like this little Pokemon could throw its
Someone
tantrum
activated
and
big
risk
head
just
mode.
toppling
Whoops.
over due to the size of its head. Inspiration-wise, we're still going to eventually get to the Spinosaurus,
Of course.
but will be heading that way by the way of a Baryonyx.
What?
Now, a Baryonyx design could very easily still be the water typing, but of course, we need to mix things up. So the original lines were aggressive, and we're going to take that and translate it into the dark type. That also means that with my updated type chart, these new starters will still make a nice triangle. Cactomo's fairy type hits Sailil's dark. That dark hits Fleetwee's psychic type, and though it's a little divisive, Fleetwee's psychic type hits Cactomo's fairy typing. Oh, and little Sailil here will actually start out with its secondary typing to better illustrate how kind of unstable these spliced forms are. They're going to be getting their original line's secondary typing, but they'll all show up at different times.
Interesting.
So, the angry little guy actually starts with its dragon typing already. All right, here.
Oh, it's already a dragon type. Okay. A dark dragon type is the starter.
Pokemon.
I feel like this is heavily unbalanced, but this isn't. Well, then again, it's gonna get
of the incomplete
stuff rocked by the fairy type, so you know.
This variant is always in a terrible mood. It stomps about in a rage at all times and screams when it does not get what it wants right away.
Oh wait, did he really
this
make
grumpy
the type
Pokemon
chart?
is incredibly difficult to train and requires constant feeding and
I completely forgot about the I remade the stat chart in the previous
point.
episode.
So,
whoops, so I guess the steel resist dragon doesn't
raised
matter.
to the max if it's ever hit by a critical attack. And be sure to let me know what you think of these strange and underdeveloped starters.
They are
down in the
adorable.
comments
Just
below.
freaking
These three adorable Pokemon, they follow you into the abandoned lab where you find Mal still trying to access the computer.
Is this just your arc?
Back, and it seems that you've hatched the eggs. Very interesting. It seems they've not been able to accurately revive fossils yet when they were working on these three.
Apparently.
But they don't have the usual rock-type impurities. From the little bit that I have been able to uncover, it seems that they were able to fill in the missing DNA sequences by using a bunch of other Pokemon species.
Oh great, they did Alchemon. Fantastic.
Certainly not an accurate restoration, but you have to admit
the
that
idea
they're
was
quite
there.
adorable.
Yes.
Oh yeah, is your Pokedex filled out enough to help me with this? Here, just scan it in.
What do you mean one short? I gotta go find a Rattata.
And access is granted. A corrupted program labeled E150 begins to run, but it soon stalls out.
Well, that stands for
It
something.
seems that it requires Pokedex entries from a handful of specific Pokemon to complete its task.
What?
You have most of the required entries already, but you do see that you'll need each of the fully evolved spliced starters.
Oh, come on.
The program is so corrupted. It's really hard to tell exactly
There's
what
more
this is
sliced
trying to
Pokemon.
do.
Oy.
But I hope you're up to the task of helping me figure out what it is.
And by helping you, you mean do
Get
it
me the
for
dex
you,
entries
don't you?
for,
I know how
these
video
missing
games
Pokemon.
work.
I really feel like we've got something legendary on our hands.
You agree to continue helping Mal and leave them in the abandoned lab to continue your adventure. You look
I know how
at
video
your
games
little
work.
level
It's up
1
to us,
spliced
and by us I mean
starters
you, the player.
standing in the dark jungles of Route 9 and figure you better level them up somewhere a little bit more appropriate.
Yeah.
You call out your trusty Loftian.
Fly us back to
and
level to area
leisurely
1
float
and
back
let's
to
get
Route
grinding. Put the experience
you have a wonderful
share
trek
on.
back along the first few routes, letting your little starters slowly get stronger until they are
I think it's
finally
around
ready
here
to
where
evolve.
the experience. You
Yes,
don't have to
let's
like
go
the
ahead
experience
and
all,
knock
but
out
it would
the
be
second
very useful
stages.
around these parts.
First up, Cactolage. No big surprise here. It just looks even more like Bumpy, and if you know Camp Cretaceous, you know there
I
is
don't.
nothing wrong with a little bit more baby Bumpy.
But I do
In
like
fact,
this design of the baby
I want
Bumpy.
this design to be as cute as possible, so in the same way that the previous stage was underdeveloped, this design kind of sits in that area between a starter's first and second stage. Also, because it now has so much more Ankylosaurus plating, it's going to get that secondary steel type right away. Colors, just coming from the almighty Bumpy. Oh, and though I am sure you noticed that shiny colors are just the normal starters colors. Alright, here
It's a neat
is
detail.
Spliced Cactolage. The Bumpy
Yay! It was like a typing so
For
much
some
fun.
unknown reason, Spliced
It gained
Cactolage
steel
expresses
typing.
its steel
Huh.
typing earlier than the completely restored line.
Well, odd.
Their strong
Huh.
defenses offset the fact that they still view literally everyone and everything as a friend.
Friend. It's like a puppy dog.
Must be canine, as they love to play fetch and lick their trainers' faces.
It has iron
And
barbs.
its
This
ability
thing
is
isn't
iron
bad, actually. The
barbs,
spliced version might be better than the
matches
actual
damages
version.
people who attack it. I can definitely see this little guy running around just like a clumsy puppy.
I can see this thing around in
Alright,
media lights.
let's see what our psychic
Like around
type
the actual
fleet
like
we
topper
becomes.
tiers.
No feathers again, and we've got another adorable reference to use. Baby Blue and Beta are some pretty darn adorable designs from the Jurassic series.
This was the
Arguably,
thumbnail.
they
I
are
was
horribly
confused by it.
inaccurate. They've just got, I mean, they're just tiny versions of the adults.
I mean,
with big,
yeah.
chunky muzzles and everything.
Yeah.
But I digress.
I mean, what is a
It
baby
does
but
make for
a
cute
smaller
design
version
here.
of you as an adult?
I know that we're definitely.
If you want to get into
treading
technicalities.
that's just a cartoony version of the reference animal territory, but in the end, that's kind of what these splice forms are about.
Yeah. Be
Luckily,
more
the
Jurassic Park than
Raptors
real life.
have this fun blue color palette to work with, which helps it feel more Pokemon-y.
I like
Here
these designs. This is
Spliced
cool.
Ovanish, the clever Pokemon. Even
I
after
kind of like
evolving,
this design
Spliced
more than the
Ovanish
actual
still lack
one they
the
went with.
distinct feathers of their complete form. Their
But I'm also the
intelligence
kind of person that
continues to
thinks
grow,
dinosaurs
and they
are
are
better
able to
with
devise
scales and
complex
not
plans
feathers.
and
Even the
coordinate
feathers
other
are more
Pokemon.
correct.
They are quite mischievous, and
Although,
trainers
again,
must
that's
work
probably me
very
being
hard
biased.
to keep them out of trouble. But once bonded, they are incredibly loyal.
You know, you grow up
Its
in
ability
Jurassic
is
Park thinking in older
Infiltrator
years
that
of being like,
ignores
that's what a
effects,
dinosaur looks like. And then
reflects,
you
and safeguard.
find out there's feathers and it's
And
like,
that's
everything
the
I know is a
raptoriness
lie.
Of, striking from the sides. I'm also enjoying how.
Actually, imagine
even
we
though
find
this
out
one
one day
has
that the feathers thing
almost
is actually
exactly the
baloney
same
and the
pose
scales
and
was correct the
proportions
entire
as the
time.
original Ovanish,
I don't know how,
it
but
just
imagine.
feels so different without the feathers.
Mm.
But let's take a look at our dark.
Yeah, that's what the
dragon
starter
Swiss
actually
Kid.
looks like without the
So,
feathers.
This
It's just
one
naked.
is a little bit more difficult.
I believe
The
you.
other lines have a baby and adult versions to pull from for inspiration, but we just know that we want this to end up looking like the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus, but how we get there,
Yeah, how we
a
get there
little
is the
bit
hard
more
part.
nebulous.
I know the
So,
beginning,
we're gonna
I know the end.
continue with
Between
some of the big Baryonyx inspirations, but I definitely let things be a little looser here. More of that general
Loosey-goosey.
Pokemon feel. Honestly, it's just more about bridging to the Spinosaurus and building some anticipation for that final design.
That's not the end
Alright,
of the world.
Here is Spliced Sliscale, the hunched Pokemon. This spliced variant has only the slightest indication of the massive sail that the complete Sliscale
It does look like
sports
it's
on
a
its back.
halfway point, like
These
straight up
Pokemon
like, this
continue
isn't
to
done
be in a
yet.
perpetually foul mood.
I feel like we
Spliced
could have gone
Sliscale
some
are
like
quick
more
to
like
anger
scale
and
things on the
prove to be one
side
the most
of it,
difficult
you know.
Pokemon to train in the
Because the
generation.
sides just look
Its
naked.
ability is
I know we're building the
unnerved, so it's so
Spinosaur, but it just
intimidating, and that
feels
makes
that
the
way,
foe
you know?
nervous and unable to eat
The
berries.
back looks wrong.
Alrighty. Your new splice
Bit of a
forms are
Pyrus
coming
Fusion
along
Dragonite
nicely,
problem.
but they still have a ways to go before we'll get to the final stage.
Yeah,
But you're feeling a little bit better about bringing these three with you onto the more difficult routes ahead. You recall a
you
restricted
can technically
gate
have a
labeled
party
with
of
a
full
6
starter
on
Pokemon
the
if I get
north
technical.
side of Tri-Town.
I wouldn't
Use
recommend.
your
I wouldn't
trusted
recommend it,
Pokéride
but you
signal
could.
to call Loftian to take you there. But we'll pick up from there. In
Well,
the
actually, you
next
could because you
episode.
can't have all three
Thank
stars
you all
in the main
so much
game.
for watching.
You can have
Leave
the
a like
versions
if you
with it.
enjoyed the video.
Mostly
As
full
always,
starters.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode down in the comments below. Oh, and a big thank you to Vlogging with Gipster for being Mal. Be sure to check out their channel. I'll link to it below.
You
And
contributed
I'll see you
so
in episode
much.
21. Bye.
Yeah, these are some cool designs. When he said at first, I'm just like, okay, what are we doing here? We just made the design. What are we doing? But actually, when he basically explained it and how it works and like where it comes from, it's like, actually, I like this now. You've talked me into it, you know. It seemed weird at first, but it's like these are prototype designs, and they're not regional variants. They were like, we're trying to resurrect it, and things went wrong and stuff, and arguably got better than the originals. But still, yeah, we were trying to make the Pokemon. We didn't do it quite right. Some things got mixed up with other things, and now they look like this and yeah, look cute. And I like these designs. They are adorable, and yeah. Especially, the middle stages do kind of feel like we're, especially when it comes to the dark type, I should say, not the water type, the dark type. It's like, if we had just like a couple more bumps on it or something, or like scales, I guess. it would feel more correct. Because again, the shoulders like look empty. I'm not saying like you make full versions or anything like that, but just like one or two gonna kill you. But whatever. Maybe I'm asking too much for the artist to put in more work because it's just like he's already put in so much already. If he's putting all this work and he's just doing it for fun at the end of the day, and to get a paycheck because of YouTube revenue, but still, in Patreon. But the point is, if he's drawing all this stuff, I guess cutting a couple corners here and there. They can't all be winners, right? That's one where I'm just like, it could have been a bit, but whatever, I guess, you know? I don't know. What are you gonna do, right? Overall, the designs were cool, and I guess we'll come back to the final forms of the, what could have been starters at a later date. But yeah, this was an interesting way of doing the regional forms. I like the designs, they're all adorable, and while not all of them were knocking it out of the park, they were still overall good. So yeah, good work about how you handled the situation, and yeah, adorable thing. And the different typings is cool too: Steel, Fairy, and Psychic. Of course, there's like a dragon in there too, and some other stuff. But you know, overall, that's what the thing is. Next, mixing up and inspirational where it came from. So yeah, no complaints overall, just nitpicks. So that's all I got to say really. So I will see you all in the next one. Until then, bye.